This is Hartford Whaler Nation. Welcome to Whaler Nation TV. Tonight with Peter Hindle, and our special guest is Mark Wallon, President of Connecticut Hockey Hall of Fame. Mark, thank you very much for joining us, bringing back all of our Whaler memorabilia so we can all sit here in Whaler heaven.
That's right. Thanks, glad to be here. As I always love talking with you guys about Whaler hockey, past, present, and of course, future.
Oh, great. And, what have you been up to lately? What's the big push?
Well,
now?
As far as Hartford hockey is concerned, still talking with Global about how we can incorporate some of the Hockey Hall of Fame and Hartford legacy into their program for the year upcoming. As far as it relates to Whaler Nation, we have a new website, hartfordwhalernation.com, which has been very, very popular. And of course, increasing its popularity is the inclusion of you both who've made a big impact on our social media. So it's amazing how great the interest has been in everything that we're producing for Whaler Nation. We've got a book that's going to be coming out during the wintertime. We have a TV show here with you guys, spearheading that. And the fan interest continues to grow. And it's great to see because as we talked about offline, unique time in hockey, as always it is with Hartford. It's always something different, always a change. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I know we're all committed to certainly is that this time around the Whaler and the Whale brand will continue because it has so much value to people. It means so much. The mascot in the schools, being part of the community. It's nothing against the Wolf Pack, or it's all part of the whole package. But that Whale brand standalone, Whaler's brand stands alone as something that has a lot of value, resonates in the community, and is a platform by which you can continue to do what you did best, which was, give back to our community.
And that's what, you see it at the games, with the Whale brand. It brought a revitalization to downtown. It's like the locusts. They're all coming out again. Yeah. And, it's great, to see the green, the blue, and the song, of course. And I think right now people are again conflicted on what's going to happen. There have been some people that says the Hartford Whaler name, the Whale brand, is going to be swept under the carpet again. And there's been some media people that said people are going to go away. Right. I feel bad for them because we're not giving up yet until our team comes back. Right. I mean, you've seen it in social media.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's still an awful lot, and even though they are going back to the Wolfpack, Pucky will still be available. I think I saw on your website that you can order Pucky for events, and Pucky is still an incredibly popular mascot. You remember the Whaler wedding that we heard about, where the guy in Massachusetts had an actual Whaler wedding where the bridesmaids wore blue and the grooms, the best men, they wore the Whaler jersey, a green Whaler jersey.
And the guy had the green Whaler tux.
And they made a Pucky mascot, to look like, Pucky. And it was pretty good. It wasn't bad.
I think it was very well done.
Yeah, but it took off here in Hartford in terms of in the social media,
absolutely.
realm.
Yeah. Channel 30 ran it, NBC 30.
Oh, did they?
They ran it on their Facebook page, and they replayed exactly what was on Whaler Nation. And so I said, Rach, to my wife, I said, geez, look, 24 years ago, we could have a Whaler wedding. She just looked at me. She's like, no.
Yeah. I will say this. I got married in 1989. I was a complete surprise to me, but I was introduced to a brass bonanza way back in the day.
Yeah, that's a common.
But those type of we would call them pop culture type of things you see cropping up on a daily basis. We talked recently about. It seems like every single day there is a significant Whaler reference somewhere out there. And the Hartford Whalers logo, the Hartford Whalers colors history and legacy really means to a lot of people Hartford. You know, that is the symbol of Hartford, if you will. I mean, it's when you see that logo, there's no doubt of what it is and what it represents.
Right.
And it's something that's just not going away. We're going to make sure. I think the biggest thing about Whaler Nation always has been, since we started, was you just wanted to have a place where all of this goodwill, all of this emotion from the alumni to the former owners, to the fans, to the people of this generation, had one place to kind of go to kind of participate in all this.
Yeah.
It's like our cheers. Everybody knows your name. Really, I mean, really, think about it. When our players were in Hartford, you know, especially the good years, Deneen, Francis, these guys, Quenville, Tippett, Gavin, Lawless, you know, everyone knew them. Everyone knew them, and they took the time to know our fans, and that's really what I embraced as a young person. You know, these guys were not just guys that walked off the ice and they went away. They were out there. The Yukon Children's Cancer Fund, all those charities that the Whalers did, and yes, still the hockey clubs in Hartford today do it on a smaller level, but they are involved in the community, and the Whalers really made an impact in the community when it came to charities.
Yeah, there's no question. I thought not only as we've talked about, you know, previously, my role with the team quite often was being the intermediary between the team, the Whalers, and the community. So I was the one who had to ask the players to go out. You know, you come back on a tough road trip, you haven't seen your family a while, you're going out to make a community appearance. But I got to tell you, 6 years in the organization, I never had a problem. A lot of that started at the top. You had a great captain in Ron Francis, who set the tone. A lot of the players' wives were really involved in the charities and communities as well. So it was a big part of our existence. It really had to be because, again, we were just starting. I mean, when I say this all the time, but there was no hockey here pre-1975. And you really had to build a foundation. And you did that on a day-to-day basis, getting out into the community and working with corporations, hospitals, whatever. Really, we coined that, being more than a hockey team. And we picked it up with the Connecticut Whale. I mean, we had our community relations director, Frank Berrien, along with the mascot, went out and, in 2 years probably did, 700 appearances.
It was a lot.
I mean,
Unbelievable.
it was, you look at his schedule,
day.
it would be, multiple every single day. But there's a lot of people who've been exposed to that now. And we're committed to keeping it going, keeping the mascot out there, keeping the community relations going, whether it be with our alumni, the mascots, or whatever. But it means a lot to people. We want to make sure it doesn't go away.
And it, we get plenty of help because back to the social media, the two biggest things that popped up was Sunday Caddy wore a Whalers cap.
Yep.
I can't remember the golfer he was with, but that was a big deal. Had the Whalers cap at the Travelers Championship, got some publicity there. And the other one was what was the other one that just happened recently?
Connecticut Forum.
Yeah, right. And then John, that one. But did you see the new one? This is John Hodgman. That's his name.
That's the one. Yeah,
right.
that's
He's
the
got
one
a new one where
Connecticut
he went to something in Massachusetts and he's flying out of Bradley, and he took a picture of him in the gift shop there.
Yep.
With all the Whalers, and he's got a Whaler hat on.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh,
one.
yeah, it's a great picture.
I saw the
one.
I saw the one live at the Connecticut Forum when he took
on YouTube.
When he took that off and put the Whalers shirt
you were
on,
there.
and then coming back from the break, he played the Brass Bonanza on his smartphone coming back from the intermission.
Right. And it makes it easy when someone else is. I mean, how many places is there where you're trying to promote something and other people
they're doing
feed
it.
you. Yeah.
And he's
the fan base is rabid
it's
for
great because you heard it when he said, I think it's astounding that they're selling these shirts for a fictitious team that's been gone for 15 years. But I think what was really cool about being there is we were at this event, and not only did he bring out the shirt, but Peter Good, who designed the logo, was in the audience that night. And they're playing the Brass Bonanza, and people are clapping. I'm like, where were all of you trying to get a hockey club back here? And it's about time you get up off your rear ends and go buy season tickets so we can have a hockey club. But again, they all loved it. They laughed about it. It was in good humor. But there's that logo again.
Right.
I think I truly believe if the marketplace could sustain an NHL as far as the fan base is concerned, I think they would really get out there and support the return of the National Hockey League. I look back, and as you know, I'm kind of a historian on these things, but I look back at that first NHL expansion, and I look at some of those franchises. St. Louis by 1983, St. Louis was a team that was dead and buried. That's why the Cat Francis got out of his contract there and came here, because that team was on its last legs going to Saskatchewan, of all places. The Pittsburgh Penguins, a marquee franchise in the National Hockey League by any standards. But, back in the 1970s, there were rumors of them moving to Hamilton and this, that, and the other place. You look at the LA Kings, they had their ups and downs over the years. Minnesota North Stars, in a hockey rabid area, actually moved, and by the mid-70s they had attendances about 6,000 people a game. And of course, the Bay Area, Oakland, moved altogether to Cleveland. So a lot of these marketplaces went through, like St. Louis came out of the gate strong. And then they went through an adjustment period. They had some tough times on the ice, they had some financial issues. They were rescued, and they prospered. And the same, Minnesota moved back and it has prospered. Pittsburgh speaks for itself. And, Hartford just didn't get that chance. Didn't get that chance to weather. They weathered a big storm, the WHA, the roof caving in.
Oh, yeah.
But the persistent and the consistent, horrendous on-ice product,
Right.
combined with, some financial issues, kind of conditions overall,
Right.
with the reason, everything, turned negative. But if they could have withstood it, just kind of kept going, had that backing, I have no doubt they would have come through it, and, we wouldn't have lost a team to begin with.
Right.
Because so many other markets have been through the exact same thing. Look at, I know it's apples and oranges in a lot of times, but look at Colorado. I mean, Colorado was, first of all, it was Kansas City.
Yeah.
Then to Colorado, and then to New Jersey.
Right.
And you wouldn't have given 10 cents for Colorado NHL hockey in the early
Right.
80s.
Yeah.
Was that the Rockies, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
But now, of course, it's a whole different ballgame.
Oh, yeah.
Things change, and I'll tell you, for all the negatives people can talk about Hartford and Connecticut and everything of that nature, and everybody will watch this and think of all the buts, and they're worth talking about.
Right.
However, the pros of this marketplace, the demographics, the TV reach, and I believe still the soul of the hockey fan here in Hartford will result in the National Hockey League coming through this way again.
Yeah.
You said it tonight earlier with the ratings.
Yeah.
I mean, the ratings for the
Right.
Stanley Cup
Right.
playoffs, Hartford was named as, what was the numbers on
Well,
that?
it was, I think that was, to your point there, I mean, these other cities got chances. Those cities are not even showing up in the ratings to where Hartford is in terms of non-NHL markets. For Game 1, which was the highest rated game in 16 years for the NHL, Hartford, I think it was 5th with a 5.8. Now, a 5.8 rating, what that means generally is if that was a national rating, that would be like the Citrus Bowl or Big College Bowl. To have that in that market in this in a non-NHL market. Now, your buts will be that, well, it's the Bruins are in town. It's because the Bruins. But
it doesn't matter.
No, because last year all the numbers were down when it was in New Jersey and LA.
Yeah.
There's as much people hating the Bruins as liking the Bruins watching this. But the market being is
you always have to throw it in there, don't you? Always.
Well,
You're a hater.
My point is though, the point is that there's a quality there, right?
Exactly, right.
Regardless of who you're rooting for.
Right.
But there's a quality of the watcher there.
Sure.
Whereas like you have a place like Atlanta, which is a top 10 market in terms of TV. They can't do it, even though they have so much more population. They've had 2 shots with 2 teams. It just doesn't work out.
Right.
But Hartford's remained strong in that ratings thing, and you think that the TV money makes the NHL, kind of maybe peek its ears, listen in on this area.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
sure
at
they're
least you
looking
hope
at
to.
the NHL. Look at this. Looking at Hartford, do they look at that? Do they say, "Hey, look, there's a"?
I think it's a bigger factor than American Hockey League attendance. When we came back here with the Connecticut Whale, basically our approach was, turn out for the American Hockey League, start building the market back, and eventually we'll see what happens as far as the return of Major League Hockey is concerned. I wonder now sometimes if that's the correlation, because there are just, and I see this all the time online, and particularly, there's just for right or wrong, there is just a significant population out there that just will not support the American Hockey League, but would certainly support the National Hockey League. Yeah. And we have a lot of people who came back to enjoy the whale experience. Certainly had a lot of sponsors come on board that weren't here previously. Mm-hmm. A lot of good things happened. A lot of that was due to the hope that the brand would build and return to the National Hockey League. But when I look at the TV ratings, I think that's a better barometer, because that's, you know, in those areas where if you actually broke it down into a micro study, you know that the Enfield area, for example, would be through the roof, because there's a lot of Bruin fans out there and things like that. But that's an area that's a whale hockey area. Sure. I mean, they're not going to Bruins games necessarily; they're becoming our way. And Springfield, the same thing. Not included in that rating is Springfield, who I'm sure have very high ratings as well.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So I mean, that's just another point to it. And the other thing was, if you saw that article in the New York Times about Canada not winning a cup, I think it's been 20 years, but in it they had a percentage of avid fans, NHL fans, and non-NHL markets, and the highest one percentage-wise was Hartford. And that was only like 2.4 million people. But against other cities like Cleveland or Kansas City, where they have like a Major League Baseball team or a Major League basketball,
right?
Football. Hartford's not competing dollar-wise with any other Major League sport, and I think that also is another positive.
That's an absolute positive. When you're going out to selling corporate sponsorships, for example, in Hartford, it couldn't digest two Major League teams to go out simultaneously going against each other.
Right.
Certainly you have an opportunity being the singular Major League team here.
Right.
Now, back when you worked for the Whalers, and now coming back in the American Hockey League, how was your response with those major corporate sponsors? Did you see a major difference? Were they a little less want to spend money today versus back then?
Well, yeah, there was it's a different. First of all, we got good response. We won the award for the best sponsorship performance in the American Hockey League, 2011 and 12. We increased the sponsorships from, it may have been 300,000 or so, 400,000 or so, up to nearly $1 million. So the response was good, but it's a whole different landscape now than it was when we were here in the National Hockey League during the heyday. So we had a good response. Again, that Whalers brand resonates for a lot of people who, it would go out to people, it would talk about, first, because remember, we were the Wolfpack first for the first couple of months. And when you talked about the Wolfpack, again, right or wrong, the fact is we talked about the Wolfpack, there just wasn't that enthusiasm. But we talked about Whalers, Whale, Ron Francis, Gordie Howe, whatever. I mean, from a lot of people, there was a lot of enthusiasm that translated into dollars. From Aetna and Cigna and on, who came out and really supported the program.
That's great. I remember working for the Whalers, and you get your discount down at Lutkin's Limited. Not that I could afford a suit there, but still, it was a nice perk they gave you. But you think about where we are today. The college campuses, you see the shirts. It's almost like an underground movement, like the Boondock Saints or anything like that. You're like, oh, look, Whaler shirt. Oh, Whaler hat. This guy has it on. He has it on sideways. He has this one on. But they're wearing. They're proud of where they are. You might not be a Whalers fan. It's a Hartford thing, and it's identity to where you live. And Sean has said it many times. These people are true to where they live, and Hartford, the Whalers, happens to be where they live, and they wear those shirts. I mean, it'd be great to get the most up-to-date, whether it's from Mitchell and Ness or some of the other outfitters. We've invited Ihor Selmak on, who runs the Parade of Novelties. He's now moving back to West Farms, and I'll have one in Manchester and in West Farms again. He's agreed to come on a show in August, so we'll have him on and start talking that again, because he was interviewed for the Versus.
Oh, that's right.
The Versus show, and he wore his track jacket on there, and he said they're still through the roof. There's someone in Massachusetts, Sean saw online, that says he cannot keep Mystic down in Mystic. They can't keep the stuff long enough on the shelves.
Yeah, the Whaler brand, really, I can speak to it. Coming from Central Massachusetts, a lot of people forget that back in the heyday, the Whalers were on Sports Channel with the Celtics in tandem. So in Boston, the Whalers got a lot of attention, not only the fact that the team was born there, but that our games were on a regular basis in the Boston market. So that brand extended. I'll tell you what, we have, if I look at even just our Facebook numbers, as far as the geography of where people come from, Boston, I think, is like fourth or fifth.
Really?
You have West Hartford, and you have Farmington, Simsbury, and then you see Boston pop in there.
No
And
kidding.
there's a lot of transplants, a lot of kids who've gone to college, born in Connecticut, go to the Boston school or whatever. We have a lot of that. But a lot of people in Boston, when you talk about the Whalers, have fond memories. It was a great rival. That rivalry was really picking up in the late 90s as we became more competitive. But we had a steady, imprint in Boston on television, which people, kind of forget. But yeah, it's still big there.
Yeah, and even like, for instance, maybe people don't know, but like games 2 and 3 they weren't on network TV. They were on NBC,
CNBC,
which is like their cable version.
Mm-hmm.
And even in those particular instances, Hartford still had a 3.2 rating, was the highest non-NHL market with a rating, and that's not network, that's cable.
Right, and we were at Vaughn's the other night for the meeting, and the guy said they were all coming in there, and a lot of sports clubs, because they couldn't get it on network television, they'd go to their local pub to watch the game.
The bars have been actually benefiting from Hartford's television.
Right.
People on Facebook were scrambling for a place to
watch the game.
To watch the game, because if you don't have it,
one reason too is the Whalers, I always talk about, it's not about in the past. We touched on the past, but really when you look at the success some of these people behind us have had, the sons of Jack Evans, as I call them.
Oh yeah.
The new coach of the Rangers, the same.
Yeah.
But the unbelievable, unprecedented, really historical success that the Whalers of the 80s have had in the hockey community going forward is remarkable. That's one reason this brand is going to continue to perpetuate, because the people who had the birth of their hockey careers here, some of the best coaches in National Hockey League, Tippett, Dineen, Quenneville, look at Mark Bergevin up in Montreal running that franchise, Ron Francis in Carolina. I mean, you can go on and on. It's the percentage is remarkable. I haven't gone through the team picture recently. If you look at that 86-87 team picture, even Shane Churla, a fighter,
that guy was a great fighter,
personnel director of Montreal.
Oh, okay, he did go to Montreal. Okay.
Yeah, so that's one reason that influence will keep going. Same thing, the people at ESPN. A lot of the key hockey people there were, they love the Whalers right down the road. I mean, for the National Hockey League to have, for the National Hockey League to have a team, a stone's throw from the studios of the ESPN, I think has a lot of advantages. Certainly back in the day.
Sure, and even NBC, because now they're down in Stanford.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That all plays a factor.
And even Jeremy Jacobs from the Bruins said, "Hey, bring back the Whalers. I don't have to fly the team. They can take a bus down." He's thinking about costs. It's cheaper to bring them down on a bus than a plane.
It's true.
Right, good. Even the Bruins want the Whalers back, so that's good.
No, they're not alone. They're not alone. I'll tell you, it's not what a lot of people think. And again, it's not just people sitting around, wishing things were like they were. I mean, you look at you look at the enthusiasm. Sometimes you just have to use your intuition.
Sure.
And you just hear from people all the time. I hear from former players. I talk to them all the time. Just like they really want this thing to work. When they came back to that reunion in 2011, 2010, they were touched, flabbergasted, enthused, almost emotional about the fact that when they sat down there, they get introduced to huge applause, each of them, and sat down and met all of the fans. They couldn't believe it. They could not believe it when they saw that line wrapped around Rentschler Field, because they didn't know. A lot of times that you think that maybe it's not relevant anymore, but they found out that it was relevant, and they're looking forward to doing it again.
Oh, that's great.
That's great.
It's great to have them back in the community.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you sit there and you watch these guys, and they were heroes of ours growing up, and you see them back at Rentschler Field, and it's like, oh, look, there they are.
Yeah, there's no
They were our Gordie Howes.
There's been no thirst.
But they're also
quenched.
some of the most influential people in hockey.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's
Yeah.
you know, they're going to have a say in this too.
Right.
That's good.
And the thirst has not been quenched for
No.
for
And
another fan fest. You know, people ask about it all the time. You
They
know,
do.
so-
Even an outdoor
Yeah.
game. You know,
Yeah.
there was someone who says, okay, if you can't use this, can you use this stadium over here? And it's like, well, you know, I have to see what's going on out there. I don't know what's happening right now
Yeah.
with the Whalers. And this is before, you know, Mark got started, you know, really pushing the Connecticut Whale and that type of thing, you know, and the Whaler heritage in Hartford here. So we'll have to see where the future brings us. And, you know, John Anderson in 2010, I was down in North Carolina, and he came up to me after the game, and you know, I introduced myself, and he sat there and he says, "Don't count Hartford out." And at the time, he was coaching Atlanta, and he says, "Listen, you just stay strong." And you know, John Anderson looked like the guy never aged.
Yeah.
He looked like he could throw on the skates again and go back out there. So you know, a real gentleman. You know, Chuck was down there, and Chuck still has very nice things to say about the Connecticut area. So it's nice to relive those memories again. And you know, Chuck did a great job at the Summer Fest too.
That's right.
You sure did.
But you know, I guess the next time we meet, we're gonna have to sit there and really bring out some real footage for everyone to see about, you know, whether it was the whale, even the Whale Bowl just was great without going with the 15 degree or 15 mile an hour wind at 15 degrees. But you know, so what if you could pick out one thing that sits there in your career that you can say, wow, whether it's Whalers or New England Whalers?
Honestly, my favorite day, and I watched the Whalers opening game in 1972. My favorite day in Whaler history was the Summer Fan Fest. It was just unbelievable.
Oh wow!
Because
great.
that was
it
was. I have to tell you, because I came up with the idea like in February, and there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm for it for a variety of reasons. And when I about an hour before the thing started. We had the players coming out on a bus, and I was up in the skybox, and I just took a breath, thinking about how the day was going to go. I looked out the window, and I see this line wrapped all the way around Rentschler Field. I just said, "Hallelujah!" It's exactly.
It was a beautiful
it's the
day
best
too.
VIP tickets I ever bought. 'Cause
Exactly.
I got there early and in early,
Yep.
not knowing that.
I didn't know. We didn't sell
Yeah.
any. You know, I had a guy who should know on the inside, who was with Rentschler Field, and said, "You'd be lucky. You know, you'd be happy to get 1,000 people here, 1,100." And you end up with 5,000 and
Unbelievable.
5,000 enthusiastic people.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It was a great time.
Well, it was a good time. Well, we'll be back with more Whaler Nation TV, One Nation Under Green. Talk to you later.